Okay, so let's start with uh, a really weird historical pattern.
Mm,
You've got Japanese pilgrims, you have Christian ascetics, Taoist monks in China. I mean, these groups have completely different beliefs, right? They never met,
totally different worlds.
yet they all centered their spiritual practice around the exact same thing: long distance walking. Why?
It is a fascinating convergence, and usually the historical take is, well, the walking is symbolic,
Right.
a metaphor for a spiritual journey.
Right.
But we're looking at a source today called Why Do Humans Walk?
Yeah.
That argues we've got the causality completely backward.
Backward. How do you mean backward? That the biology came before the theology.
Exactly. The core idea here is that humans didn't walk to find meaning. They walk. And this is a quote, meaning faded because humans walked. The whole thesis is that walking is a neurobiological state. It just forces your nervous system into this quiet, stable baseline. Religion was just the story we told ourselves about that feeling afterwards.
So this is all about our biology, not our beliefs. Let's dig into that, because it sounds like the source is arguing that modern life itself is kind of a neurological mistake.
In a way, yeah. I mean, if you just look at the evolutionary timeline, for almost all of human history, we were in continuous motion. We were nomads,
Always moving.
always.
Mm.
The ground was uneven. The view was always changing. Our brains evolved to function inside that movement.
And now we just sit. We sit in static rooms and stare at fixed screens.
Right. And the source calls this a neurological deviation. When you stop moving, your brain doesn't just go idle. It actually kicks into a very specific and very high-stress gear.
Oh, wait, I think I know what this is. The default mode network, right?
Precisely, the DMN. When you're physically still, that network just lights up. It's the part of the brain that's all about your self-reference, worrying about the future, replaying the past.
It's the me show. That inner narrator that just will not shut up about that awkward thing you said at a meeting 5 years ago.
That's the one. That's the DMN firing in all cylinders. And the source argues that what we call anxiety or overthinking is often just the brain's default state in an environment it wasn't built for.
So walking isn't exercise in this model. It's a reset.
It's a neural reset. It's returning to factory settings.
Okay, but hold on. Why walking specifically? Why not just sit on a cushion and meditate? A lot of people try to fix that overthinking by just sitting still.
And this is where it gets really interesting, because the source says that sitting meditation is actually, in a way, fighting your biology. Walking provides these very specific inputs that stillness just can't.
Like what?
First, you have bilateral movement,
Yeah.
that simple left-right rhythm. It helps to synchronize your brain's hemispheres.
Okay, so it occupies the motor part of the brain.
It does, but the bigger factor is something called optic flow.
Optic.
Yeah, as you walk, the visual world streams past your eyes. Research shows this literally downregulates the brain's arousal filters. It calms down the threat detection system. Add in vestibular stimulation, your balance system, and you've got a whole cascade of quieting signals.
So it's a mechanical process. You don't have to try.
You don't. And the source has this powerful line. Thinking stops because the system no longer supports thinking. When your brain is busy navigating terrain, balancing and processing all that optic flow, it just doesn't have the spare resources for the DMN's usual drama.
That's incredible. It's not a choice. It's just a resource problem for the brain.
Exactly.
That completely flips the script on how we view mysticism. You look at someone like the Buddha or an early desert father, and you assume they invented these practices out of pure, holiness.
But this theory suggests they were just really observant biohackers. They just noticed that after, say, mile 10, that nagging inner voice, the self, just went quiet.
And they didn't have fMRI scans to explain it.
So they used the language they had. They called that biological silence enlightenment or salvation or divine presence.
But those words are describing the after-image of the physical act.
Precisely. Religion was the documentation of a biological phenomenon, not the discovery of a spiritual one.
That makes so much sense. It explains why the feeling is so universal, even when the gods and the doctrines are completely different. And, for anyone listening who feels totally burned out, this hits hard. We are drowning in information, in notifications, in identity. Everything is designed to keep that default mode network spinning like crazy.
Which is why that reset from walking feels so dramatic today. The contrast between our normal life and that biological baseline is sharper than it's ever been.
So we're not walking for moral training anymore.
We're walking for neural baseline restoration. It's not about being good. It's about being regulated. It's about giving your body the inputs it evolved to need to finally turn off the noise.
So here's a final thought to leave you with. If enlightenment is just the label we gave to biological silence, it really makes you wonder, how many other profound mystical experiences are actually just our bodies finally getting what they physically need?
That is the question.